My name is Riley and I'm a student. The first 2 weeks at Sexington University were perfectly normal. I was drunk until the end of freshers when my student loan ran out. Then Professor Lovecraft exploded his lab and my eyebrows and everything changed. My roommate started dying. Aliens invaded. I killed a dragon over breakfast, got stranded in the past and attacked by dinosaurs. I might have committed a genocide. I might have robbed an empire. I may even have saved the world. I really hope next week is quieter. I have an assignment due.
Hello and welcome to my book review of Carmilla by Sheridan Le Fanu. This is an 1872 novel, one of the earliest on the subject of vampires. Carmilla embraces a number of gothic themes, perhaps demonstrating some of the influence of the Castle of Otranto. The remote castle in a foreign land setting would become a staple of the genre, as would the mysterious and enigmatic power imbalance between the two leads and things like haunted portraits and troubled dreams. It's quite fun though to explore where those cliches began. The story begins with a historical note, claiming what follows as part of a learned Dr. Theselius' records of similar cases. The single-page document, perhaps supposed to add verisimilitude, is a bit of a grind and a little off-putting. It is also utterly skippable. From there, the story is narrated by Laura, a young woman residing in the typically isolated castle with her father. Laura tells a story from a few years earlier. She relates also a childhood brush with a vampire and then jumps forward to her early adulthood when a carriage accident leaves Carmilla at their doorstep and in need of their hospitality. Despite initially being excited by a rare, youthful companion, Laura and Carmilla's friendship is troubled by Carmilla being just a little bit much. She's constantly professing her love in long-winded speeches and just being a bit melodramatic. My strange and beautiful companion would take my hand and hold it with a fond pressure, renewed again and again, blushing softly, gazing in my face with languid and burning eyes, and breathing so fast that her dress rose and fell with a tumultuous respiration. It was like the ardour of a lover. It embarrassed me. It was hateful and yet overpowering, and with gloating eyes she drew me to her, and her hot lips travelled along my cheek in kisses, and she would whisper, almost in sobs, "You are mine. You shall be mine. You and I are one forever." Meanwhile, a mystery sickness travels through the area and a local acquaintance, General Spielsdorf, is bereaved when his niece dies. Laura also begins to experience strange and unsettling dreams, and her deteriorating health mirrors the stories from other local incidents. It is also clear that Carmilla isn't what she appears to be. Laura seems to see her moving strangely at her bed during the night. I saw a female figure standing at the foot of the bed, a little at the right side. It was in a dark, loose dress, and its hair was down and covered its shoulders. A block of stone could not have been more still. There was not the slightest stir of respiration. As I stared at it, the figure seemed to have changed its place, and was now nearer the door, and then close to it. The door opened, and it passed out. For me, the cinematic nature of the vampire moving without moving was a real highlight here, and then also when repeated later, its inhumanity would clearly be influential, not just on the vampire genre in text and later on film, but also in other horror and science fiction. Laura also discovers that Carmilla, who makes a habit of locking her own bedroom door at night, is not actually sleeping in her bed. After squabbling doctors make her father suspicious, he decides to pay a visit to the local cemetery for a picnic. This is the graveyard where, rumour has it, the local vampire family were buried. They are met on their journey by General Spielsdorf, who agrees to accompany them to the graveyard. He shares on the way his own experiences with the vampire, which are more or less identical to Laura's experiences with Carmilla, right down to the vampire's appearance at his doorstep in urgent need of hospitality and calling herself Melarca, not the greatest of mysterious anagrams you'll ever find. Laura is just beginning to suspect Carmilla might not be the charming bestie she had prayed for. Her father and General Spielsdorf, together with a local baron, help them discover Carmilla's grave, and she does surprisingly little to escape from it, given how easily she can move in and out of even graves and locked up castles. But an inquest is held. The grave is then opened to reveal Carmilla sleeping in a pool of blood, and they cut off her head, drive a stake through her heart, and burn her remains, which is usually a satisfactory ending for these things. Carmilla was written when Gothic literature was still a fairly new genre, but gaining popularity. Bram Stoker's Dracula was more than 20 years away, but it does draw on Camlet's 1746 book on vampires and other spirits to create, despite the melodrama, what would have likely been a fairly convincing account of the time. Camlet's text was non-fiction, a study that attempted to make sense of nocturnal apparitions and rumours around vampire sightings. Le Fanu, by drawing on the wider research of Camlet, would likely both have spurred and fed off cultural interest in the supernatural and the emergence of the vampire as a literary figure. Likewise, it reflects Victorian preoccupations with the themes of sexuality and female empowerment, or perhaps protection, because while Carmilla's seductive nature challenges traditional ideas of femininity and would have made her an exciting character for the time, the other girls in the text, from nameless local villages, Spieldov's niece Bertha or Laura herself, are all good Christian girls who are no more than damsels in distress. Laura even worries about Carmilla not joining in the family prayers, saying, I often wondered whether our pretty guest ever said her prayers. I certainly had never seen her upon her knees. When not writing clunky and unlikely dialogue, Le Fanu's style, as you'd expect, is quite atmospheric, evoking a sense of foreboding and unease that is generally successful, though it stretches the idea that this is Laura's personal account on occasion. Overall, however, Carmilla is a dated but interesting Gothic tale, interesting not just for its enduring influence on vampire literature, but also as a short and enjoyable story in its own right. Le Fanu's storytelling is melodramatic, dialogue-heavy at times, but successfully couples a couple of genuinely creepy moments with its exploration of themes such as forbidden desire and the supernatural, which would have definitely tapped the zeitgeist of the time, but also remain of interest to more modern readers, and that makes this very easy to recommend to fans of classic horror. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe. Here's a link where you can find my books on Amazon. Thanks for watching. Bye.